This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, R.O.S.E Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S E, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Scams. I'm your host, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S.E Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. So last week's show was, how do I want to say, probably was not that of a website. And I'm going to go through and share my screen. And I'm going to use our website, R.O.S.E Advocacy, as an example when I go through these different tips. And so this week, you're going to be able to actually see me sharing my screen and doing all of this versus last week. And I apologize for this. I clicked the wrong thing and all you saw were my notes up on the screen the whole time while I was talking. And I'll show you real quick. I always, at the beginning of every show, I always say about going to our website and signing up for our email newsletters. I'll show you where that's at, the social media links, and then also where there's some different resources. So I'm going to start sharing and I'm going to go into the R.O.S.E Advocacy website. And I'm going to go through. And so first of all, just really quick, we've got our resources tab over here and you can come down, you can look at our supporters. There's different articles, videos. We've got a bunch of testimonials, some downloadable resources, our previous newsletters, and we've got some media on there as well. But you can go down to, well, here's our social media links at the top: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and then YouTube. And then if you scroll down on the homepage here, this is where I tell you about signing up for the newsletters. You'll see down here at the bottom, you can subscribe to our email list. Once your first name, last name, email address. And this is our mailed newsletter. So we need your first and last name and your address in order to, in your email. And then we will add you to our mailed newsletters that go out the beginning of every month. We also down here have a button called Archives, and that has some old articles from different sources where you can actually go in and look at those articles on a wide variety of safety topics and different scam topics. So now let's get back to how to determine the safety of a website. So you can check the URL. So this is roseadvocacy.org. And if you click on this toggle switch here, it says view site information. So I'm going to click on that. Sometimes if you don't see the toggle switch, you might see a padlock icon. We have a padlock here, but that's our logo here. Sometimes you might see a padlock up here. It's the same thing. If you hover over it, it'll say view site information. You click on it and you can come down here. It says connection is secure, and you can click on it to find out more information. about how the information is private when it's sent to this site. Learn more. You can learn more about that. Certificate is valid. So that's a certificate that I would have had to have purchased through where I got my domain. And I got the Rose Advocacy domain through GoDaddy, and they have options where you can purchase security certificates. I believe it's the acronym is SSL for it. And it's not that expensive, just like buying a domain is not that expensive. And so we're hearing more and more that scammers are, they actually will build fake websites. And so if you're looking at the website up here, roseadvocacy.org, and you know that you're going to go to Rose's website, your mind and your naked eye might read Rose Advocacy because that's the website. But scammers they'll buy a domain that maybe and I'm trying to look at some of these letters to see if they changed it a certain way. So for instance, this first letter, this R, well, if they changed it to a lowercase n, would you really see that difference there? If they change this O to a 0, you probably would see it because the 0 is going to be a lot bigger than the O. But you can see they might just take one letter and change it to a number. They might change a letter to a different letter, just a really slight difference that maybe your naked eye is not going to see it. And so a lot of times if you take all of these letters here, letters and or numbers, whatever makes up the website, the domain, and you write each one down as an individual character, and then look at those individual characters to see if they make sense, that's going to help you as well. And so, yes, this looking here at the security, you can see if the website's secure, the security certificate is valid, all of that stuff. But as scammers evolved, and we've talked a lot about this the month of May in our show, they evolve in their techniques, and one of the ways is they evolved by creating these fake websites, and they make the domain look so close to what the real legitimate domain is that, especially if you're in a hurry, if you've got 3 different things going on and you glance at it, your naked eye might not see those differences. So helping you identify those really slight differences in the domain name, writing down each character is really going to help you. Some people have even told me what they do is they write everything down backwards, or they look at it backwards. They read it to themselves backwards. And that might help you to try that as well. So we already talked about this toggle switch, the padlock icon. I'm going to go back to this padlock here, cookies and site data. You can go in there and you can say that it says cookies and other site data are used to remember you, for example, to sign you in or to personalize ads. If you want to manage those cookies for all sites, you go to your settings, and they have if I click on, just look at what your settings are and change them as you see fit there. Let me get back into that. I think that was it there. Yeah, that was it on the cookies. And then site settings down here, you can get into this, and it's going to give you a lot of different information, like permissions for location. I've got it set to ask. That's the default. And if you click here, if you say allow, then if you go to get on a website and the website wants to track your location, if you've got it as allow, it's going to automatically allow it. Or you can click block and it'll automatically block the website from tracking your location. Or you can have ask and it'll ask you. It'll give you the prompt that they want to track your location, and you can say yes or no to it. You can say allow it. I think the choices are allow, always allow, or allow this time only, or block it. But you can go down through all of this: location, camera, microphone, motion, all kinds of stuff, all down through here. And, for insecure content, I have block, um, automatically block on that. So you can change to whatever, you feel comfortable with. And this actually, if you go back to all sites, it's going to come down and it's going to give you all these sites that you've been on recently and how many cookies are there. And you can go down and get rid of all the cookies, individual ones that are here, if you understand what all of these are, or if maybe you want to clear cookies on some of these sites. Maybe you got on a site once for some particular reason, and it's not a site that you usually go to. So you could just go over here and hit the trash can, and it's going to delete the site data and the permissions. It's going to delete all of it instead of having to go down into these individual 37 cookies and delete them. Or you just might want to get rid of everything for all of these websites again. And these are the most visited ones. You can go down and look at the data stored ones, or by name, and check all of that. Let me see here. I think that might have been that was the last thing on that. Another thing they say you can do to check the security and safety of a site is kind of look down through the home page and look at what they have on here. And, again, this was one of the older ways, check for grammatical errors, poor spelling, awkward phrasings, all kinds of stuff like that. You go down through ours, you're going to see there's really not, there's not misspelled words or grammatical errors or stuff like that. But with the advent of artificial intelligence, and part of that is the Chat GPT, and I think there's Copilot, there's a bunch of generative text, artificial intelligence sources. And so that's where this kind of ties into how, previously you could tell when an email came through or a text, or if you got something in the mail and it just had really bad grammar, that was your telltale sign that was a scam. Well, with all these generative text websites, this artificial intelligence, scammers are using that just like we use it. And they're using it to create to what really looks like legitimate websites. So you might not find that there's a lot of grammatical errors or misspellings or the awkward phrasing and stuff like that, because now artificial intelligence is helping them correct all of these errors and making the website look a lot more legitimate. You can also contact information. We have ours all the way down here at the bottom. We have our mailing address, our phone number. We have an e-fax. Our email is down here. The copyright, who designed and is hosting the website. We've got our disclaimer down here. So, you can look at those things as well. The thing that really helps, and another thing is they say to go to the Better Business Bureau, right? Because some people, if they've found that it's not a good website, it's a fraudulent website, or maybe it's a website, maybe it is an actual company, but they're just using aggressive sales tactics to get business and stuff like that, so that they might report them to the Better Business Bureau, file a complaint. So you can also check them out there. But I think these online tools that I'm going to go through next can be very, very helpful. And I'm gonna type them in here, and I'm gonna use my website, R.O.S.E Advocacy, to go in and look it up. So the first one is going to be, it's called the urlvoid.com. So urlvoid.com. You see, I've gotten into it before, so it automatically came up. And this is, you'll see here, it's a website reputation checker. Now, I did this last week, and it came up that there was everything was good. And I've been making some changes to the website. So I'm going to put my website name in here, and I'm going to say scan website. And this is going to come up and give you a bunch of different information about the website. So you can see the website address, roseadvocacy.org. They last analyzed it 3 months ago. You could actually tell it to rescan again. Detection counts 0 out of 39. So there's 39 different things they're going to scan for, and they didn't find us on any of them, which is good. And we'll go in and we'll look at some of those places. You can look at when I registered the domain, and our incorporation date was August 21st of 2021, or August 23rd. 2021. Anyways, but you'll see here where I bought the domain August 27th, 2021. Makes sense. It's within a week of when we actually were incorporated in the state of Arizona. You can see the IP address. You can see who our web hosting is here. The server locations in the United States. So that's a good thing. You can tell if it's in the United States or if it's in another country. Not saying that if a server's in another country that it's necessarily a bad thing, but you can tell there. This is just a Google map though, and then a lot of uh, personal identifiable information. You're not going to see here. But then the scanning engines down here, this is what I told you up here were these 0 out of 39. So detection counts the 39 different. So they scanned all of these different engines, and it says here, nothing found on all of these. Green check mark, nothing found. Everything's in green. Now we can go in and view more details. So Bitdefender, let's go in there and we can view more details. And it has the R.O.S.E advocacy website. We haven't seen any suspicious activity from this website. So that's good. Green check mark. All of these different things will tell you when they come up with these different icons, what that means. So if one of these website may contain malware, here, this icon, the website is classified as phishing. Here, this website pretends to be a financial institution. You can see here how it's instead of BANK, it's BNAK. So it's a fake bank website. You can look here, escrow scam. They've got all these icons, right? Represents a Facebook scam. So you've got the F reversed. Again, hosted phishing attack in the last 90 days, another icon. Was found in unsolicited email messages. And so they'll have this email icon. So just a bunch of different things that they're going to look for. And so now I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to pull up another one. I'm going to see if so look here, cybercrime. Let's go look at cybercrime, view more details. And that's interesting. It says no result for R.O.S.E advocacy, which is great because I really don't want to be on, I don't want to come up on this cybercrime tracker. But if a website did, you're going to have a bunch of information here. Let me go and look at another one. Fake website buster. Let's go look at that. Oh, this is interesting. Your connection's not private. And you can see up here. So it gave me a warning, says not secure here. And I could go into advanced to learn more, but I don't necessarily, you can still go to it, but I want to go back to safety. So I'm just going to go back to safety and I'm going to go back here and let's look up here. Let's look up phishing database, see what comes up there. So this is just a bunch of phishing domain data. Oh, this is, I think they're coming up with a bunch of different, it'll tell you if you've come up in any of these phishing links. some of these they have a lot of technical jargon on here. So let me see what some of these other ones are. I haven't been into a lot of these, but the one thing you want to look for, as I said earlier, is right here. You don't want to be found on any of these scanning engines, or if the website you're trying to determine if it's safe or not and it's secure, something does come up, you can go into these view more details and you can look and see what the scanning engine said about them. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing here is the domain information. You could go into this who is lookup, and it tells you right here, contains police records. Oh, interesting. Okay. But I'm going to put my domain in there. Click that you're not a robot. Click the who is lookup, and it's going to give you some information about, that's just an ad. Don't worry about that. All that jargon up there. But now you can get some more information about the actual domain, roseadvocacy.org. It's going to give you the domain ID, the server, and I purchased it at GoDaddy. And so that's the who is server is at GoDaddy. So that makes sense. The last time they updated it was November 25th of 24. Again, this creation date matches with what we looked at on the previous screen for the domain reputation, that it was created on August 27th, 2021. I renew it every year, the domain. And so right now it expires on August 27th, 2025. So sometime between now and then, I will go in and I'll renew it for another year, and then that'll get updated to 2026. The registrar is GoDaddy.com LLC. That makes sense because the server is up here at GoDaddy. You're going to get some information about the registrar at GoDaddy. If you want to report abuse, here's how to do it and the phone number. But then you're going to see this redacted down here on a lot of this information. And that's because years ago, there was a bill or a law enacted that said you have to really restrict the personal identifiable information. And so it's not that it's not there, it's just you can't see it because it's been redacted, all this personal identifiable information. And that's for the registrant, that's for the admin, the tech name, all of that's been redacted. So, and I recognize this here, Cloudflare. That's my cybersecurity company that monitors this laptop that I use and monitors everything. That's one of the softwares that they use is Cloudflare. So it makes sense that this would come up. Let's see. And it tells you here, if you want more information on status codes, you can go to this website. So just really quickly to give you an idea of the who is and what data is stored. It's a public database that hosts the information collected when someone registers a domain name. A domain name is an internet address, a website address. And actually, I could go in and type in for here roseadvocacy.net instead of .org because I purchased the .net one, and you'll see the same information coming up as well. Let's see here. It's monitored by the International Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. It goes back to 1982. And then the bunch of information on how to install it, and I'm not even going to begin to tell you what all of this, how to install it and all that. That's where you need to have a really good website host person that can go in and do all this for you. But let me see what one of these other ones are. The Google Transparency Report. So I'm going to go into the website here for Google Transparency Report. Oops. There it is. Transparency Report r.google.com safe-browsing. So I'm going to go in. Oops. I don't know what I did there. Okay. All right. So this is Google Safe Browsing site status. Again, you can go in and you can put in a website address and no available data. That's interesting, because last time I put it in, it came up and said that it was safe. So I'm wondering why, if there's something. There we go. No unsafe content found. So that's what you want to see on the website that you put in there. I can put in, I don't know, let me put in Amazon and see what happens. I haven't done this before, so we're going to all find out. Nuts.com. See what happens here. Oh, here it is. So it's hard to provide a simple safety status for sites like Amazon, which have a lot of content. Sites that are generally safe sometimes contain some unsafe content, like blogs or comments. So it says check a specific directory or web page. So you probably would have to go into a specific page and find that address and put that in there, because Amazon is huge. They're just they're a huge website, and with all of the orders and all the products and stuff they have. So those are 3 different ways to check this Google Safe Browsing. This R.O.S.E lookup online, where you can find out a lot of information about the website itself, see if everything makes sense. And then also you can go on here. Again, that's the URL void. And I went there first. And then for the R.O.S.E part of it, I went in and clicked right here on the R.O.S.E lookup, was where I found this information about the R.O.S.E advocacy website. And you can see that everything kind of coordinates with both of them. And then go down here and make sure there's nothing found. Green check marks, nothing found on all these 39. So these are, I think, I don't want to say better, but yes, you want to, look at the URL and make sure that every character in there does make up the legitimate URL. Look at the padlock icon or this toggle icon and go in and check out the secure connection. You can do the cookies, site settings, all of that stuff. And, verify the contact information, that looks legitimate and all that. But to take it to the next step, to verify the security, if you want to bypass all this that we talked about here, looking at the security connection, the cookies, all of that stuff, looking for at the content, looking up reviews, things like that, go straight to the online tools, or you can do all of them. But the online tools here and this one, and then the Google Safe Browsing, these are just added ways that, because scammers evolve, right? And we talked about that earlier, about how it's inexpensive to buy a domain and then to buy the security certificate for it. So they can do that with a fake website, and it's going to come up and say the connection's secure and all of that stuff. And so if you take these added steps to go in and see if anything comes up in these detection counts, to where they found anything, with recent scans, it's a good thing to do that. It doesn't take that long, and it's just some added steps to determine the safety and security of a website. But then don't forget to, when you're looking at up here, the domain, the URL here, some people actually look at this and they read it backwards to see that it makes sense, or they write down the letters backwards. some people, they say that helps them. Other people, they want to write down each individual character. So they're going to look at it and go, okay, that's an R, that's an O, that's an S, that's an E, and go through and write it down and then look at each character to see that, yes, then it does make sense, because there could be just a very, very slight difference in this URL that would then take you to a not secure, possibly a scammer's website, because your naked eye is reading Rose advocacy because that's what your mind's looking for. And you might not see those little nuances. So looking at each individual character, and one of the examples I give in the presentations is, and I'm not picking on Amazon, but it's scammers love to impersonate Amazon. They're a huge, reputable company. Almost everybody has an Amazon account, whether they use it once in a while on a regular basis or set up the account and have never used it. They have an account. And so the scammers know that when they send these phishing emails or these smishing texts out to try to get you to call the number, click on the link, to engage with them, they know that they're going to have a higher chance of getting more people to engage with them because there's so many people that have Amazon accounts. So the example that I give with that is, the Amazon website is AMAZON, but what if it's ARN? And so the R and the N instead of the M, are you going to notice that little difference there? Is your naked eye going to see that that's an R and an N, R as in Robert, N as in Nancy, versus the M as in Mary? It might not, because to your naked eye, your mind's thinking Amazon, you might read Amazon. So that's where it's good to write down the individual characters. You'd be more apt to see that is an R and an N and not the M like it should be. There's another thing when you're browsing on the internet, is there's what's called incognito mode. And you can so your browser, let's see here, it says to open a new incognito window in you press Control Shift N as in Nancy, and that's on that is on the anything but a Mac, and you would use Command instead of Control. So it'd be Command Shift N as in Nancy on a Mac, and it opens up a new incognito window in Chrome. Or you can go to the browser menu in Chrome or Firefox, and I believe that's over here. These three right here. Yeah, these three. I'm in Chrome. So these three dots over here on the far right that ask if you want a new tab, a new window. Here's a new incognito window. There's a bunch of other things down here as well, and that's where I have a Mac here. So it's a Control, or no, I'm sorry, it's the Command Shift and then N. But if you just click here, it then opens up, you've gone incognito. And so it tells you what that is. Others who use this device won't see your activity, so you can browse more privately. One of a reason why you might want to do this is if, you and your spouse or you and the kids share a device and you're planning a surprise party, or it's, a celebration is coming up and you want to get them a gift, and you don't necessarily want them to see what you've been searching for the gift or planning the party, then you could do it in incognito mode. So then whoever your child, your partner, your spouse goes to get on your device after you were, they won't be able to see what you've been browsing. So it also says this won't change how the data is collected by the websites you visit and the services they use, including Google downloads, bookmarks, and reading list items. That'll all still be saved. But Chrome won't save your browsing history. It won't save cookies and site data and information entered in forms. But your activity might still be visible to the websites that you visit, your employer or school if you have, or your internet service provider. So if you have a work computer, or you're a student and have a computer given to you through the school, they very well could have protocols on those computers where they can see your activity. You can also block third-party cookies. When on, the sites can't use cookies that track you across the web. So that's turned off there. I had it turned on. And so that's another way. Again, the one big difference with incognito, we talked about is, and I want to find it on here, that you don't need to worry about clearing your history or your cache or your cookies, because the private browsing modes don't save your browsing history, your cached pages, or cookies. So there's nothing to delete. So if you are one that is on a regular basis going in and deleting your cookies, for instance, this is a way where the cookies won't get tracked. And so then you don't need to go in and delete the cookies because they're not tracking them. And sometimes I know when I'll go to get on like my website after my website guy host, website developer has made changes. Like, for instance, he just made a bunch of changes last week on the website. But sometimes I'll go in and I'll look at things to see what it looks like, how the changes got made and things like that, and it won't read correctly, or it just looks weird. And so I'll send a note to the website guy and say, hey, I take a screenshot. This is what comes up, and this is weird. It's not supposed to do this. And he'll say, have you cleared out your cache recently? Sorry. Have you cleared out your cache recently? And that's the CACHE. And so if you are browsing incognito and stuff, it doesn't track and it doesn't keep the cache. So then you don't have to go in and clear it out. But it can, if you don't clear that out on a regular basis, it can kind of change a little bit on what you're seeing, or it might make a website that you're usually on do something different that's not what you're used to. And that's about all I can get into on that aspect of it. Because I don't really, I'm not a techie person that knows exactly what all the cache is. So just remember that on how to get in and go to an incognito window, and it'll say incognito up here as well. You just click on, if you're on Chrome, you can just click on these three dots and go into a new incognito window there. This says your incognito. You could close this profile right here, and it's going to close that page, take me back to where I was before. But if you're on a Mac, you can just hit Command Shift, N as in Nancy. Any other device, you're going to do the Control Shift and then N as in Nancy. So hopefully this helped you, especially being able to see what I was doing to check the safety and security of websites as I was in real time, as I was doing it with the R.O.S.E advocacy website. This is what you were supposed to have seen last week. But like I said, I made the mistake of not sharing my whole, the whole page. I clicked on just this one tab, and it happened to be the PDF tab that had my notes up on there. So apologize for that. But the nice thing is, we get to do take two, and that's what today is. So thank you for joining us today. And if you don't remember, you can get on R.O.S.E's website and you can find a bunch of resources on this tab here. You can, if you're interested in scheduling a presentation, it's on this tab, donate or sponsors here. We have events throughout the year. You can find them here, latest scams. If you go on here, this is going to have, it's going to have some latest scams, but you can download our Anatomy of a Scam infographic. It also has the IC3, the Internet Crime Complaint Center, the FBI's fraud report here for 2024. This is just we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the radio show, but here's the graph that we referenced. If you want to find previous, let's see, downloadable resources, I think it's here, the previous FBI's elder fraud reports, you can see them here all the way back to 2020, and it looks like 2020 might have gotten on there twice. So, or no, one of them needs to be 22. This should say 22. So anyways, there's just a bunch of different things, downloadable things here that you can go in and look at. And again, you can go down to the bottom of the page and there's archives, a lot of articles and videos from years back from some curated sources, reliable sources where we found some information. Let me go back to the homepage here. You can find our social media links all right here: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. They're at the bottom. Or here's some testimonials. We've got about 21 of them up here. If you want to see, John is a retired FBI agent. You can play his video. And here's how to sign up for our emailed list, sign up for our monthly mailed newsletters, what those are. And again, the social media links are here. Yeah, so there you go. And we look forward to seeing you back next week. Thank you, guys.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.